Niger State has witnessed increasing banditry and kidnappings. The recent terror attacks by armed terrorists on Kasuwan Daji and two other communities, namely Shukama and Shanga, in Bogu local government area of Niger State, has generated a lot of reactions from Nigerian citizens. This analysis seeks to offer more perspectives to the terror attacks that lasted for hours without any form of security intervention to prevent the attackers from carrying out the destruction that we are all concerned about today. Now, listen to this panel of analysts, and afterwards, more other perspectives will be brought for you to have a broader understanding of the security situation in Nigeria.
So let's now begin what's trending properly in Niger State, with communities there feeling shock, feeling anger and fear at the news of another brutal mass killing of scores of people on Saturday after armed terrorists attacked the Kasuwan Daji market in the Bogu local government area. Now, in a statement, Niger State Police spokesperson Waziu Abiodun revealed that terrorists swarmed the market, set it on fire, shot at random, and abducted an unspecified number of people. Now, he also revealed that a security team has visited the scene and that they're working on rescuing kidnapped victims. And that being said, it's still concerning that it's now not so clear how many people were abducted. Questions have also been raised about how the attack itself took place at 4:30 p.m., yet the police stated that they only received information about it 5 hours later, which was 9 on the same day. But quickly after that, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a Sunday post on his X profile, announced that he's calling in all the big guns on this attack, directing the Minister of Defense, Chief of Defense, service chiefs, and more to hunt the terrorists down and bring them to justice. So he stated in part, as you see on your tweet, on your screen, that these terrorists have tested the resolve of our country and its people. They must face the full consequences of their criminal actions, no matter who they are or their intent. They must be hunted down. He added that anyone who aids, abets, or enables them will be brought to justice. We must stand together as one and confront these monsters in unison. We must defeat and deny them any sanctuary, and we must reclaim peace for these communities. And then he added, may their souls rest in peace. So we saw some strong words from the president here, but a lot of people on social media have pointed out the fact that the president is not in Nigeria at the moment. Earlier on Sunday, he posted a photo on his X profile with the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, with some saying that, while discussions on world affairs are necessary, the country is clearly facing some serious challenges that require all hands on deck. And I think we have that photo of the two of them together, which had a little bit of controversy. Some people were saying that it was AI generated, but Bayo Onanuga recently debunked that and saying that they just essentially retouched a picture that was taken with their phones. So, Dr. Abati, I'll come to you on this just to analyze the state of, terrorism in Niger State. The president isn't in the country, but he's put out a statement that he stands with the people.
Okay, first, the president's statement, there is a familiar ring to it. The same thing we hear all the time. The president says, people have been kidnapped, there's been violence in some part of the country, and then he gives the security chiefs their marching orders. The truth of the matter is that the challenge is still very real. But what I find in the incident in the Niger State is that the report that I read said these were persons, terrorists fleeing from the Sokoto axis, who now went to Niger State to cause havoc in Kasuwan Daji and also in two other villages, Shukama and Shanga. And that they operated for hours on end, and the security agencies were not anywhere to be found to come and help the people. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, about 40 persons were killed in the 3 communities, and women and children, were abducted mm-hmm. and in a helpless situation. Now, one, the battle has not ended with terrorists, with bandits. But the curious thing there is that if it is indeed true that those persons who caused havoc in Niger State were fleeing from Sokoto towards Niger. Now, how come they were not intercepted? Yeah. If the security agencies were up and doing, I think it's foreseeable mm-hmm. that with that attack on the Sokoto axis by the by the United States looking for terrorists in Nigeria, that the people will naturally, run away to other parts of the country. Now, we didn't have any containment strategy. We didn't have any mechanism to make sure that, those terrorists do not become a threat in other parts of Nigeria. Those are relevant questions in my view. Now, the other thing to realize is that Niger State probably has large landmass, ungoverned spaces, and a lot of ungoverned spaces, would make itself, will be readily available for this kind of havoc. And it is interesting that at this very time is when the Niger State government has now said schools that were shut after the attack on the Papiri students, St. Mary's Catholic primary school and secondary school, now the state has said, all the schools that were shut down should be reopened. And then you have the same incident again in Niger State. So what all of this calls for is greater vigilance, continued vigilance. So without the president even giving marching orders to his security agencies, I mean, this should just be their work to continue to make this country safe for us.
The recent U.S. airstrike in Sokoto was meant to cripple the ISIS-linked Lakurawa terrorists. In one sense, it worked. Their base was destroyed, scattering them. But the story didn't end there. Like poison spilled from a shattered vial, these fighters flowed into neighboring Niger State. However, after the horrific attacks on Kasuwan Daji, Shukama, and Shanga, leaving 40 dead and many abducted, many people are linking the tragedy to the terrorists that have been displaced from Sokoto and Zamfara states. And their point is clear. They compared the Kasuwan Daji terror attacks to the previous attacks the terrorists had carried out in Zamfara and Sokoto states in the past. Whenever these terrorists carry out attacks, it used to be devastating. This now brings us to a critical debate on Nigeria's security strategy. Was the Tinubu-led administration's plan to get rid of ISIS-linked terrorists holistic enough? Officials might argue that such airstrikes are a precise, necessary tool to degrade high-value targets with minimal ground troop risk. The operation successfully disrupted the terrorist stronghold, a key tactical win. Broader security is a continuous regional effort requiring state cooperation and intelligence sharing, not just one military operation. Security experts, however, see a fatal flaw. In warfare, airstrikes alone are not enough. They argue that immediately after the bombs fell, ground troops should have been mobilized to comb the area, sealing escape routes and capturing fleeing terrorists. By not doing this, the government allowed a wounded, dangerous enemy to scatter and regroup elsewhere. This whack-a-mole approach simply moves the violence, leading to the retaliatory massacres we witnessed. It questions the coordination between air assets and ground forces and the overarching strategy to contain, not just displace, the threat. Can terrorism be defeated by degrading it in one location if borders are porous and safe havens exist? Is the lack of immediate ground containment a failure of planning or a limitation of resources and terrain? The tragic events in Niger State show that security is not a local, but a national puzzle. What solutions do you propose? Like, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more in-depth analysis of Nigeria's pressing issues.